If you know how to draw it, color it. Peace everyone, Unmask Art here, and today we will be coloring this character that I drew. I am going to be doing a two-part coloring tutorial. The first part will color the more classic style, and then the second part will be a more blended, soft shaded style. The first step of this process is pretty obvious. Draw the character and ink the character. The next step that I take is to take the sketch and develop the lighting. The second step to the coloring process is to develop your color palette. The first thing that you want to do with that is do a color study. Basically, I have everything that I'm going to color: her hair, her skin, her eyes, her shirt, her different shirt colors, and her bow. And as you can see, I listed each one and developed which colors I wanted to use. Not only did I find the colors that I wanted, but I also labeled the process in which to get those colors. And you can see here, this is a 5-step process for the skin. Skin is probably one of the most important colors and possibly the hardest color for most people to get. So real quick, the pencils that I'll be using for this tutorial are the 72 pack of Prismacolor Premiums. And because I have my color study, it makes it very simple color from that point forward. I have every single color that I'm going to use in this drawing with the exception of the eyes, and then I also have the Prismacolor colorless blender. Doing a color study and finding out which colors you're going to use and how you're going to use them is the best way to get the greatest results in your coloring. There is no such thing as a bad picture, only bad planning. Now that the base coat is finished, I'm going to move on to the second color to begin the layering process. Alright, now the second color is down, and when you look at it, you get this kind of grainy look that you often see when you're working with colored pencils. The key component to making it look really smooth and really nice is to continue layering until you get rid of that texture. Before I move on, one of the things I want to add is that don't be afraid to lay down color. I often see beginner artists, especially when it comes to coloring, they only do light layers. They never actually get the color. They do these light layers constantly, and they never really get much of the color down. And so they get these really washed out looking pictures, and sometimes it can look okay, but when you compare this nice saturated color compared to this washed out color, and you put two of those, you put a picture colored like this against a picture colored like this, and 98% of the time a picture that's colored like this is going to look better. So I'm going to continue on, and I'm going to layer one more time with this color. Now that that third layer is down, you can see that the color consistency is much smoother. Before I lay down too many layers, I want to actually establish my values. So the next color that I'm going to use is this color here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw out where my shadows are. Now I have the first coat of the shadow done. I'm going to switch to the next color and continue doing layering. Now that I have all the skin colors down, I still have this grainy look on most of the skin, so I'm going to use the colorless blender to smooth that out. There, now that the blending's all done, you can see that the skin is much, much smoother. One of the things that I want to mention real quick is that if you haven't gotten to the point where your inking looks like this, then I have a tutorial for how to ink also, and I'll put the link here. And then also I want to add that I will make the line art for this particular drawing available for download for free, of course, so that you can print it out and color it for yourself. Now that the skin color is all complete, we're going to move on to the clothes. Now that the first base coat is all finished, I'm going to move on to the next color. Alright, the second coat is done, so before I go on and layer more to get rid of this awful looking texture, I am going to again establish my shadows. Alright, now that I have the shadows outlined, I can move on to the next set of layering. Now that that's done, I am going to work more layers into these colors so that I can get rid of the texture. Alright, now that all those colors are burnished and I am done with these colors in particular for the shirt, and this part of the shirt, in this here, I intended to be white, so these shadows are going to be a different shade. Alright, the first base coat of the shirt shadow is complete. Now that the second layer is done, I am satisfied with that color, so I'm going to now go over it with the colorless blender. Now that I'm all done blending with the colorless blender, I am going to now color the bow. Alright, the first base color of the bow tie is complete, so I'm going to switch to the next color. Alright, well that second layer is done, so now I am going to move on to establishing the shadows, and that will finish off all the layering for the colors. Now I will go back and make sure my tip is clean and burnish the colors in with the colorless blender. Now that I'm all done burnishing those colors in, I am going to move on to the eyes. There's so many different kinds of anime eyes that they really deserve a tutorial all on their own. And if you would like me to do a tutorial, please let me know in the comments and I will do one. But what I'm going to do with the eyes, I'm actually going to make them kind of a red-orange color. And now we're going to move on to the hair. Now, one of the things that you'll notice about the style that I'm doing right now is I've limited it to 2 tones. But one of the things that you almost never see is just 2 colors in the hair. You almost always have a minimum of 3. And personally, I wouldn't like to use only 2 because it just doesn't look as good. So this highlight here is just going to be white, so I want to avoid that at all costs. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to draw that in with the colored pencil, and then just color all the hair with my base color, and then I'll go back and do the shadow. So anyway, let's get to it. Now that the values are all mapped out with that last color, I am going to continue layering. Alright, and there you have it. I hope this tutorial was helpful. If you have any questions, just ask me in the comments section. Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe. Be sure to check out part 2 of this tutorial where I will draw this character in a more blended shaded style. Thanks for watching. Peace.